A single heavy shadow stretched across the threshold of a stone house.
Camille.
Inside, a widow stood trembling as the creditor's voice echoed from the street. Her 2 sons stood behind her, their knuckles white as they gripped their tunics. The law was clear and cruel. If the debt remained unpaid, the boys would be taken. Desperate and gasping for air, the widow grabbed her shawl and sprinted. She collapsed at his feet, her heart hammering as she told him of the ultimatum. Elisha looked down at her, his expression steady and calm. He asked a question that seemed to mock her poverty. "What do you have?" The widow hesitated, her hands shaking as she replied, "Nothing, save for oil." Elisha nodded, his eyes fixed on hers with divine certainty. "Go," he commanded. "Borrow empty vessels. Gather as many as you can find." She did not understand, yet she rose from the dust, driven by a flicker of hope. The widow returned home and set to work. She and her sons knocked on every door. One by one, the vessels arrived. Some were cracked, others were dust-covered. Finally, she pushed the heavy wooden door shut, bolting it against the world. The room fell into a sacred, heavy silence. It was just her sons, and the jar. The small, solitary jar of oil that represented everything they had left. She lifted the small jar and tipped it over the first empty vessel. A steady, golden stream flowed out, hitting the bottom with a deep splash. It did not stop. She reached for the next jar, and the next. Her sons scrambled to keep up, dragging heavy clay vessels toward her. The air grew thick and sweet, with the scent of fresh, rich oil. Every jar was filled to the brim, glowing like liquid amber in the dim light. The small jar in her hand felt impossibly heavy, its source seemingly endless. "Bring me another!" she cried out, her voice thick with wonder. Her son shook his head, his face flushed with exhaustion and awe. "There is not another," he whispered. The flow from the small jar ceased. The house was transformed. Where there had been debt, there was now provision. They stood in the silence, surrounded by the miraculous wealth in the dark. The widow returned to Elisha, who directed her to sell the oil and settle the debt. She walked back to the marketplace, the weight of the creditor's shadow gone. She paid the debt in full, her sons standing by her side, free men. The miracle was never seen by the village, yet it changed everything. It began with what she held in her hand, and it expanded to fill every space. God's provision waits behind a closed door, ready to turn the little into more.